Oh, what time it is? It is 9:18, and it is time for Between the Eights with Drew Pearson here on Laying Down the Law. It is a lively Sunday. It is week 2 of the NFL season as well, and we welcome in the original 88, Drew Pearson. Drew, good morning, and welcome back to Laying Down the Law.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you for having me back.
Always good to have
Always
you.
Good.
In fact, Drew, we ran into your signal caller last night in San Marcos, Texas, the Navy midshipman playing against the Texas State Bobcats. And, of course, Roger Staubach said to tell you hello and to also for us to work diligently on doing whatever we can because you, yes, sir, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, if anybody can lead that charge and make some people listen, it's my quarterback, Roger Staubach. So he's been out there campaigning for me, and we'll see what happens with that.
Well, we certainly want to find the senior writers, and we, as fans, and, you know, you have Jeff that's played in this league 14 years and things of that nature. We certainly would like to assist you and truly do our part to, if we need to, you know, get the laying down the law, let her head out there and, you know, maybe make some highlight videos and DVDs. And, you know, you have to campaign now, Drew, for a lot of these different things. And, I mean, I know you know Mr. Staubach as well, and certainly we'd love to come together as fans of yours and, you know, as well as you did on the field. People probably don't have the appreciation for you truly off the field and the things that you've done and collaborated with all the time. Go ahead, Spencer.
Hey, Spencer Conley here, Drew. I played arena football, brother, and you know that you hooked us up. We wore your products. I had the Drew Pearson hat, I had the Drew Pearson visor, you know, and it was good to see that. And not just did that keep you relevant to me, but I don't really feel like we should be having the campaign for you due to the fact that every time they show a Cowboy highlight from your era, there you are at the other end of a ball that's just left Roger's hand. You know, so that it's just very disturbing that the people that are involved in this process, they have to know. And if they don't, then they shouldn't be in the process, to me, honestly, because there's no way you talk about that era of Cowboy football, which really established that franchise, and you're not in the Hall of Fame. Very disappointing, but, you know, look forward to seeing it done, brother.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. You know, it's frustrating to me sometimes because, you know, when I made that all-decade team and Harvey Martin made that team and me and Harvey were best buddies, and when we made that all-decade team, which is chosen by the NFL Hall of Fame committee, sports writers and all those people that do vote for the Hall of Fame, for the players to be put into the Hall of Fame, you know, Harvey and I looked at each other and said, we going in the Hall of Fame because this should have guaranteed us that opportunity. But apparently it didn't, so now, you know, we're pushed back into the senior category, and that category has been dwindled or lessened simply because now they have a contributor category. So every other year they'll nominate 2 seniors for the senior opportunity, go through the senior door. So every other year instead of every year.
That's something I'd like to look at to see.
This year they're only letting 1 senior through, 1 contributor through. And that senior they picked already for this year is Mick Tingelhoff, the center for the Minnesota Vikings, who I think is an all-decade himself. And I can't believe he's not even in the Hall of Fame already. So the opportunities at this point for me are going to be more limited, and we'll see how it plays out, you know, as that goes on.
It would be interesting to see how many players who made an all-decade team are not in the Hall of Fame, because I guarantee that's pretty few and far between.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. There's not that many, and I know from the all 70s team, the 3 starters that aren't in the Hall of Fame are Cowboys: Cliff Harris on defense, Drew Pearson on offense, and Harvey Martin on defense as well. And so the other guy was Ray Guy, but he just got in, so maybe there's some hope for us.
Well, I tell you, we would really enjoy being a part of the process. You know, I've gone to a couple Hall of Fame games, and I don't understand all the intricacies of the senior voting. However, you know, we, as you said, I got a little bit of education from one of those New Jersey schools that you're very familiar with.
Amen. Amen.
Not far from where you grew up. And
not Fairlight Dickinson, right?
Exactly. Dickinson, exactly. Absolutely. And, we'd like to do that. Truly offline, I think we have a lot of excitement and I think ability in this room, and we would certainly love to be a part of what we could do from a media standpoint, from a former player's standpoint, to assist you in this endeavor. I think that would be one of the great privileges of for me as a former player to be able to block for you to Canton. That would be that would just be unbelievable, and to have somebody like Jeff as well as a former All-Pro and a guy thrown for 20-plus thousand yards and 130-plus touchdowns in the NFL, 14 years. We'd like to assist. So we certainly say that not because we want it to sound good, but we believe that's truly a place where you ought to be. And we thank you each week coming on. And tell us about the Titans and the Cowboys.
Well, it's going to be a tough game for the Cowboys. We didn't know what to expect from the Titans under new leadership with Wisenhunt over there, and what kind of personnel with their quarterback Jake Locker would be like, and what he would do in that first game, and how advanced or how further ahead of his schedule as far as being ready to be an NFL quarterback. And it looks like he's a little ahead of schedule. And I think a lot of that has to do with Wisenhunt and his ability to coach offense and to coach quarterbacks. And, last year he was in San Diego, and the year before, Phillip Rivers had an atrocious year. But last year he had a bounce-back year, and a lot of that had to do with Wisenhunt. And so they think that he has this ability to coach quarterbacks. I think he coached Kurt Warner and a few other guys along the way. Jeff, you might know better than me on that, but it seemed like he has this ability to develop quarterbacks, and in doing that, you're developing an offense, and they have some weapons on offense, but the real thing that we're going to have to deal with Tennessee is their defense. They only gave up 67 yards rushing last week to Kansas City, only 100-some yards passing to Alex Smith. And, Kansas City has that Texas boy, what's his name?
Jamal Charles.
Oh, yeah, Jamal Charles. Only the second best back in the National Football League, in my opinion, right behind Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy with Philadelphia. So they have some weapons. They're a well-coached football team. They're playing at home. This is their home opener for the season, so they're going to be fired up for that. We're traveling on the road. This is the first time we're playing a noon football game, so it's going to be a little different for the guys to be prepared for this one. So I don't know, but I just hopefully that we'll be able to protect Romo, let Romo have a bounce-back game. Hopefully Dez will have a bounce-back game, protect the football, no turnovers, create some pressure on Jake Locker, see if we can create some turnovers ourselves, and get our big weapons involved in the game. Get DeMarco Murray involved in the game early in the game. Get Dez involved in the early. What about Jason Witten? Where's he gone? I know he wasn't fast. He can't lose any speed. He never had any.
Well, do you
That's
think
what they used to say about me, Jeff?
Drew, do you think that because an up-tempo game and a new season that Tony may have gone away from one of his favorite targets in Jason Witten last week, and I saw a couple of forced balls, and I mean, Jeff, you're the one that's throwing them.
There were definitely some forced balls, and I still think that you use certain receivers. I would use certain receivers for certain situations. My receivers knew their role. Pickens knew when he was getting the ball. My tight ends knew when they were getting the ball. Darnay knew when he was getting the ball. Everybody knew their role, And when we got to the red zone, everybody knew I was throwing pick or fade route. When we got, when we're throwing deep balls, most of the time it was Darnay catching those deep balls. When it was third down, David Dunn knew he was getting the ball because he was my third down receiver. He come in the game on third down. He was like, Blake, I ain't coming here for nothing. I ain't coming here for nothing. I want to come in on third down. I want my ball, So it's just
don't mess up my chance.
Yeah, everybody knew their role, and I think Tony has not established their role, guys. And it's just like you look at other teams, you look at the Denver Broncos, they have role guys. You know who going to catch what type of ball and what type of situation. You know where the ball is going. San Francisco, they have role guys. You know who's
but it was up to you to get that ball to those role guys.
Yes.
To take advantage of what they bring to the party, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what Romo's got to do with his guys. You know what Cole Beasley's going to do.
Exactly.
You know what Witten's going to do, but Romo's got to be the key. You are the key to get the ball to those guys, and Romo's got to be the key to make the right decisions in those situations to take advantage of those role players or take advantage of what those players bring to the table as far as their abilities. And last week, he certainly didn't do that, and the last thing we needed last week was Romo to have a bad game.
Right.
But you know what? And you probably can speak better on this than me, Jeff. I don't know how a quarterback can not have the reps in practice and step out there. The last time Romo played before he stepped on that field last week, September 7th, was August 22nd. Okay? Uh-huh. That's a long time not to be in a NFL kind of speed situation. And then we go back to practice with Romo. He plays. He takes 2 or 3 days off. He practices, takes another day off. There's no way you can be ready to play NFL. It would have been an insult for Romo to step on that field and have a phenomenal football game where he passes for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions or anything like that. It would have been an insult to the NFL and what it takes to be successful in the NFL if Romo could practice that way and step into an NFL game and have success. No, it doesn't happen like that. You got to practice. You got to get the reps. You got to step up. And if that back is hurting, man, you got to work through it. We got to know if it's hurting. We can't be tentative out there and hold you out and all this because you're the man. You're supposed to be the man. If anybody, he's the oldest guy on that offense, him and Witten.
Right.
The 2 least guys you expect to be making mistakes and costing you football games are those 2 guys. Because if those 2 guys are doing it, what do the other players fall back on?
And
they say, well, Witten's done it. Romo does it. They're the captains, too. They were elected captains of the offense. So they have to be the leaders. And, no captains, there's no leaders that are on second team. All leaders are on first team. All leaders are your top football players, your big producers, because they can't tell anybody to follow them if they're not doing it themselves. So these guys have to step up, and Romo's got to be the guy that does it today.
Yeah, Drew, if he had been, just off on some passes or his touch was off, that'd be one thing. You can understand that from rest, but his decision-making was so bad. That's what concerned me, is throwing into double and triple coverage repeatedly. There had to be guys that were open and he was missing. That's what surprised me about Romo's performance last Sunday.
Yeah, and, Kaepernick, he's the young quarterback, but Romo looked like the young quarterback in that game, and Kaepernick looked like the 12-year veteran, But, Romo's got to step up, and hopefully he'll do that today. And if we can get a little ball control going with our offense, keep that defense off the field as much as possible, we might have a shot today.
What do you think the final score is, Drew?
What did I say last week, 27-17? Y'all don't even remember. I could have said anything.
I think it was 30,
all I know is you had the Cowboys winning.
I think it was 31-27. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I'm going to take 27-17 this week and see what the Cowboys can do with that. But it'll be a Cowboy victory.
Okay.
I always pick the Cowboys, so you know what my record's been the last 3 years.
Yeah,
8-8.
I was just gonna. Even Steve. Hey, Drew, I was just gonna ask you: would you ever pick the Cowboys to lose the game and just be real one day? Just be real one time.
Show with Jesse Holly. I said, Jesse, he's picking the San Francisco 49ers in a rout and all this kind of stuff. I said, Jesse, how can you do that, man? I know you might know. And you might want to have people respect your credibility and not pick the Cowboys and that type of thing. But once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy. So you always got to root for them. You always got to pick them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We agree. And
we might have a segment called When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong.
All right. That'll be the next thing. Right on.
Absolutely.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
Yes,
Drew
sir.
Pearson picked the Cowboys again today when he knew he shouldn't have.
Oh, man. Well, listen, we certainly appreciate you. We are as serious can be about working with you and however we can break up the responsibilities and getting in touch with some of these folks and figure things out with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They've been great. I know they have new leadership over there, and I know it's going to be the senior writers. We believe got a few attorneys and degrees and everything like that we can advocate mightily on your behalf, and we certainly appreciate you on each and every Sunday with Between the Eights, giving us your Cowboys perspective.
Right on, bro. I appreciate that, and that, you know what that means. If you make that kind of effort and not get in, I hope you can clear your schedule to be there for my induction now.
Oh, no question.
Okay?
We just want to sit to the side and just have a little 88 jersey on and you know, or a little pin and just, you know, give a little, you know, no worries. We certainly would just be appreciative to be in Canton when you get there. Absolutely.
And bring your quarterback with you. Come on, Jay. Come on, Jay.
He knows Ohio. He knows Ohio. They know him in Ohio.
I know.
Yes,
He
indeed.
know all the places to hang.
Exactly. Well, Drew, thanks again. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Our man, Between the Eights, the original Drew Pearson, the original 88, the one and only, right here on Laying Down the Law. We'll be back in about 3, right here on Laying Down the Law.